Hi guys, Mr. Mackey here. Now yesterday I set you quite a difficult challenge to find the basic percentages of these three numbers. But when I go through this, I'm going to do something a little bit different. For these two, I'm just going to go straight out and just give you the answers. But for this one, I'm actually going to go through how to find them. The reason why is because there's a lot to cover today, so I want to make sure we go straight into it and not spend too much time with yesterday's problem. If you weren't sure how to get these answers from yesterday, re-watch the video and see how you do then. So I'm first just going to write down the answers for these two. I'm going to write the ones for 820 in green and the ones for in blue. So let's do it. 50% of 820 is 410, while for 4 it's 2. 25% of 820 is 205, while for 4 it's 1. 10% of 820 is 82, while for 4 it's 0.4, because we're dividing it by 10. 5% of 820 is 41, while for 4 it's 0.2. And finally, 1% of 820 is 8.2, while for 4 it's 0.04. So now that I've gone through the answers for these two, I'm actually now going to properly go through how to find the answers for this one. And there's a reason why in just a minute. So we have the number 1,500, and I need to find the basic percentages for it. So how do we find 50%? Well, you halve 100%. So we halve 1,500, and that will get us 750. How do we find 25%? Well, we halved our 100%, and then we halve that again. So we have to halve 750, and that will get us 375. How do we find 10%? Well, we divide 100% by 10. So we divide 1,500 by 10, and that will get us 150. How do we find 5%? Well, we have our 10%, which is 150, and we halve that. So we halve 150 to get 75. And how do we find our 1%? Well, we divide our 100% by 100, so we divide 1,500 by 100, and that will get us 15. So what I've done is I've moved the basic percentages of 1,500 into this box because we're going to need them. Because now I want you to find 20% of 1,500. Now we haven't done 20% yet. We've only gone over these 6. So how could we find 20% with what we have? Well, what is 20%? Well, if you think about it, 20% is just 2 times 10%. It's just double 10, isn't it? Double 10 gets us 20. So if we doubled 10%, we would find what 20% is. And what's the good news? We know what 10% is. So to figure it out, we do 2 times 150, because 150 is 10%. Now, what is 150 times by 2? The answer is 300. So 20% of 1,500 is 300. So now we've done that one, let's try another one, because that might have just been luck. We just happen to have 10%. What about a number like, I don't know, 11%? I want to find 11% of 1,500. What could we have that could help us? Well, 11% is 10% add 1%. Because what's 10 add 1? 11. So why don't we have 10%, which we have, which is 150, add our 1%, which is 15. Add them together. What do we get? Well, once you add them together, you will get 165. So 11% of 1,500 is 165. But again, that could still be a pure coincidence. That could have just been luck. So what about a number like 56%? How could we find 56% out of 1,500? Which of these basic percentages could we use to get that? Now, the easiest way, in my opinion, is if we have 50%, add 5%, add 1%. Sorry, I didn't have enough space. If we have 50%, add 5%, add 1%. So our 50% is 750. Plus our 5%, which is 75. Plus our 1%, which is 15. Now we add that all together. 750 plus 75, add 15. That will get us 840. So 56% of 1,500 is 840. So this is the last one we're going to do with this number. So we've done loads of different percentages so far, but what about one like 94%? How do we find 94% of this number? What could we do? Well, we could do 50%, add 10%, add 10%, add 10%, add 10%, add 1%. That takes too long. I got bored even saying it. So how about this? Why do we do 100% minus 6%? But what is 6%? How do we find 6%? Well, we could do 5% minus, I don't have enough space, minus 1%. So it's 100% minus 5% to get us 95%, minus 1%, that will get us 94%. So what is 100%? Well, that is 1,500. Minus 75, because that's 5%, minus 15, because that's 1%. So what is 1,500 minus 75 minus 15? Well, that will get us 1,410. And that's the answer. No, you don't have to just add every time. You can also subtract. Now I have the number 240 and I want to find 75% of that number. The problem is I don't have any of the basic percentages on me. So what we're going to do is we have to find the basic percentages that are essential to solve this problem. So what basic percentages could we use to find 75%? Well, there's two different ways that I choose, and they're the easiest in my opinion. We could either do 50% add 25%, or 25% times by 3, because 25 add 25 add 25 will get us 75%. The method I'm going to do is I'm going to do 25% times by 3. The reason why is because we only need to find one of the basic percentages for it. So how do we find 25%? Well, you halve 240, which is 120, and then you halve it again, which gets us 60. So now that we found that, we can do this problem. We do 60 times by 3. And 60 times by 3 will get us 180. What about 24%? So, what basic percentages could we use to help us with this? Well, we could do 25% minus 1%. Because what's 25 minus 1? 24. So we have our 25%, but we don't have our 1%. So we need to find it. And how do we find 1%? We divide that by 100. And that will get us 2.4. So what we do is we have 60 minus 2.4. Now remember when we did subtracting decimals from early in the week? That will get us 57.6. And that is 24%. Now the last one on this example, 37%. This is a mean one, I'm sorry. So, what basic percentages could we use to make this answer? Well, there's two ways. One of them is if we do 10% times by 3, then add 5%, add 2 times 1%, but that's a bit long. Why don't we do 25%, add 10%, add 1%, add 1% again, 2 times 1%. Because 25 add 10 is 35, add 1 is 36, add 1 again is 37. So let's figure it out. So 25% we've got, which is 60. But we don't have 10%. How do we find 10%? We divide our 100% by 10. So what is 240 divided by 10? 24. So now we can put that in. Our 10% is 24. Add 1%, which is 2.4, thanks to the previous question. Add 1% again, which is 2.4 again. And now we add that all together. 60 add 24 is 84. Add 2.4 is 86.4. Add another 2.4 is 88.8. And that is what 37% of 240 is. Quite neat, eh? So, here is your challenge for today. I have 160 pounds. Not anymore though, because I spent 43% of that. Question 1, how much is that? How much is 43%? Question 2, how much do I have left? And question 3, what percentage is that? Question 3 is very easy when you think about it. I'm sorry about the angle there. So I have 160 pounds. I spent 43% of it. How much is 43%? How much do I have left after I spent that? And what percentage is what I have left? It is, the last one's very easy when you think about it. Good luck with these. You will need these to work it out. If you still don't understand how to figure out these basic percentages, watch yesterday's video. It is important that you get these because you will need them to work out this question. Good luck, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share this channel to everyone you know, because I want to help and I need you to help too, so we can keep our children learning. Thank you.